Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Friday night's edition of Civil 3D TV Live. We are going to be reviewing grading settings tonight. I know that's exciting stuff. I know just before the weekend, that's the first thing you think of when you're looking to get into the weekend. But tonight we're just going to spend roughly about an hour in order to kind of refresh our skills and at least kind of refresh my memory on certain aspects of Civil 3D. So if you would like to learn more about Civil 3D, I highly encourage you to go to civil3d.tv, where this is a resource for folks if they're looking to learn more and more about Civil 3D. Free tutorials everywhere on the site. You can sign up for email updates as well as a lot of other information here. We've got free sessions where I've got some old coursework for Civil 3D 2020 to 2022, where you can go through and essentially it's basically like a 10-hour course, a free course that you can go through and learn about Civil 3D. The only drawback is ads, just a lot of ads going on here. But if you're looking for a free course just to learn online, feel free to go to civil3d.tv. I highly encourage that. So with that out of the way, we'll go ahead and dive into some Civil 3D. Like I said, we're going to be getting into reviewing grading settings. Right now I'm in the grading-1 drawing, which is located in the installation files that are on your installation of Civil 3D. There's actually a help file where you can grab a bunch of exercise files that come pre-installed with your installed copy of Civil 3D. And that's where I'm pulling these from. With a lot of the coursework that I provide to members only, they're getting actual exercise files that are actually broken down a little bit further as far as what we go through on every single piece of coursework, line by line, essentially. So, Inspirational Nomad, Civil 3D for the wind. For the wind? For the wind? What am I talking about? The wind? No, not the wind. Wind. But for the win. Yes, sir. Thank you for showing up there, Sam. I appreciate you you cheering me on, man, in the chat. And if anybody else has any comments within the chat, if you have any questions about Civil 3D as I go through this stuff, feel free to ask them. I'll do my best to answer them to the best of my ability. But I'm sure there's a lot of other folks out there that are very, very keen on Civil 3D that probably watch the live stream. Go ahead and chime in. Give us some of your knowledge. So I'll just leave that out there, and then we will get started. Let's rock and roll. I'll bring up some of my notes here, and I'll be pausing periodically to take a look at the chat. Oh, wait a minute. No, there is a way to look at the chat at the same time while I go through this stuff. That's what I want. Like I said, folks, we're roughly going to spend about an hour on this stuff. Roughly about an hour. So, in this exercise, we're going to learn how to use grading settings. We're going to review grading settings. We've got grading-1 open right now. And in the tool space, in the settings tab, which is right here, we've got our tool space, settings tab, and then we're going to be editing feature settings. Feature settings. And that's located within the grading. Oh, wait a minute. Did I get that wrong already? Did I get that wrong already? Come on. Right-click on grading. Edit feature settings. That's where it's at. That's where it's at. Okay. In the edit feature settings dialog box, expand the general collection, which is this. We've got this save command changes to settings. It's currently saved to yes. Then we have we're going to leave that on yes. This setting saves command settings for reuse. For example, if you create a grading and set the grade to 5%, then 5% is the default value the next time you create a grading. So that's very helpful. Sammy, $2 donation. Thank you, sir. You're doing a great job. Thank you, Sam. I appreciate your generosity. I appreciate your grace. I appreciate you cheering me on. Everybody needs a cheerleader within their life. Everybody needs a cheerleader within their life. And I just appreciate those cheerleaders, those mentors, those people that try to push you in the direction that, you know what, a lot of times, we go in a direction that we might not necessarily want to go in at the time. Like, if you want to lose weight, if you want to work out, sometimes you need a cheerleader to get you going on a particular day. So Sam's just one of those guys. I appreciate you, Sam. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. God bless you. Okay. Now, as we get into this, we're going to expand. What else? Let's open this up a little bit further. There's a lot of settings in here, folks. A lot of settings. It can be very, very overwhelming. I mean, look at all this stuff. Who wants to go through all this, right? What am I looking for? Grade slope. Right here. We're going to expand the collections for grade and slope, which is right here. Now it says here, notice the options for unit format and precision. The integer value for precision specifies the number of digits to the right of the decimal places. Okay, so in other words, we're going to be going with a precision of 3 decimal places. So, 10.000. You can change that to 0.00 by just making that a 2, more or less. But I'm going to keep this at 3. Then that's essentially it. We're going to get out of this overwhelming box, this Edit Feature Settings dialog box. We'll click OK. Then we're going to continue on to creating grading criteria. Creating grading criteria. YouTube, index me on creating grading criteria. There's a nice little note within my video. My video is about an hour long. This is the next portion. YouTube, dial me in. Okay, in this exercise, you'll create a grading criteria set for a ditch grading. Then create 3 criteria in the set. Each grading criteria provides a standard formula for creating a graded slope. Individual criteria values can be locked so they cannot be changed for individual gradings. And you'll get to see that in a little bit. And we're going to create a criteria set. Now we're still in grading -1. In the tool space, go to the settings tab once again, expand the grading collection. And then you'll see right here we have the grading criteria sets. Let's expand this. Now this is where you'll create a new grading criteria set, then create 2 new criteria within a new set. So what we'll do, we can right click on this and create a brand new one. We get our grading criteria set properties dialog box. Then we can name it. We can name this ditch criteria set in the name field. You can enter in a description if you so choose, but I'm just going to go ahead and click OK. And you see that it shows up within our grading criteria sets. Now we're going to create a grading criteria. We'll right-click on the grading criteria set. Then we're going to select New. These are going to be for ditches. Okay, we've got our information tab. In the name field, we're going to type in distance at -6%. So it's going to grade at a distance at -6%, okay? You'll see what that means very shortly if you don't know what that means. We'll go to the criteria tab, and this is where the magic happens. The target is going to be distance. The distance is going to be 10 feet. The projection is going to be slope. Format is going to be grade. And grade is going to be -6%. Now for the grade parameter, is it perimeter or parameter? I think it's parameter. We're going to lock this. When you lock a grade value in grading criteria, you are not prompted to specify its value each time you use the criteria. Okay, so it becomes more or less like an automatic thing. So we're going to be clicking OK. And then we're going to create a second grading criteria. We're going to do this again. We're going to go into grading criteria sets. Once again, we're going to click on New. This time we're going to call out surface at 4:1 slope. Click OK. Then we go through the same process that we went through before. We select this new criteria set, right click, select New. Wait a minute, did I do that right? Let me go back in here. Properties. Yep, I did that right. Okay. Actually, I think I did do that wrong. I did that wrong. I did it wrong. I did it wrong. Hear that, everybody? I did it wrong. I'm going to delete this set. I'm going to put this in the ditch criteria set. This is going to be a brand new one. New. Don't you hate to admit when you're wrong? Yeah, nobody likes to admit that they're wrong. I think in engineering, I think that we kind of get into those areas quite often to where, you know, we kind of hate to admit that we're wrong on something. But you know what? I was wrong on this. Second grading criteria. We're going to type in surface at 4:1 slope. Because we're keeping this stuff in the ditch criteria set. Okay, this one, the target's going to be surface, projection, cut and fill slope. You see all these options that come up when you choose different targets and whatnot? you'll see that when we actually get into using these grading criteria, you'll see how the command line will begin to prompt us with different things. This is essentially, this criteria we're giving the command line or the command prompts just, okay, this is what I'm going to be prompted with. This is what's going to be held, and this is what I'm going to be prompted with as I go through my grading. Okay, surface, cut, fill, slope, cut first. Set the following values for both the cut slope projection and fill slope projection property groups. Format, it's going to be slope. It's going to be 4 colon on 1, enter. 4 on 1, enter. This criteria creates a grade 2 existing surface at a 4 on 1 slope. Make sense? In the chat, Inspirational Nomad says it's okay, revisions are a part of every project. They are. They're totally a part of every project. Sometimes it becomes so overwhelming with the amount of revisions. So many revisions, it can hard to keep track, you know. Usually whenever you get like a markup from somebody, if somebody makes a little change, one little tick on a markup, sometimes that means that it's a drastic change that drastically affects multiple sheets, multiple parts of the project, you name it. So it's just like, man, revisions, they're definitely a part of life. Definitely a part of projects, for sure. Okay. We'll click OK. Now we're going to create a third grading criteria set. Remember, we're going to go under the ditch criteria set. We're not going to create a brand new grading criteria set. We're keeping it right in here. Sam says, just like life, many revisions. For sure, man. For sure. For sure. We're going to go in here. Relative elevation at 3 on 1 slope. And we're going to set the following values for the criteria. We'll go into the criteria. Target is going to be a relative elevation. So that elevation could move right along with the surface. Relative elevation, -3 feet. Projection, it's going to be slope. Format, it's going to be slope. And the slope is going to be 3 on 1. This criteria creates a grade to a relative elevation of -3 feet at a 3 to 1 slope. Then we'll click OK. So now we have our grading criteria set for our ditch, and it's nicely organized within the grading criteria sets, as opposed to what I was originally doing, which was creating individual grading criteria sets. I'm keeping all of this very nicely organized, like I've been told to, in this area right here. Okay. All right. Next, we'll get into creating grading styles. As we get into creating grading styles, I'm going to pause for a moment and go back to, sometimes within engineering we might think that we're wrong in certain areas, but I've noticed that as a designer, if you ask one engineer how to do something, another engineer will have a completely different answer for roughly the same thing. So as a designer, don't get confused by thinking that everything has to be in a particular way. Like, for example, one engineer likes to grade parking lots at maybe like a 1% slope. They use 1% as the minimum slope to grade out a parking lot. Well, while another engineer will say, no, 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 don't do that. Grade at a minimum of 0.5% slope throughout the parking lot. So one engineer might be super conservative with their number, while another engineer will have some ideas to, oh, no, you don't really have to do it that way. So as a designer, you may think that, oh, you know, I don't know how to do this. Well, you do know how to do certain things, because there are certain minimums that you can either be a little bit more conservative or less conservative with how you go about maybe arranging the way that maybe you grade a parking lot in that example. So when it comes to being wrong in engineering, sometimes it can be a little subjective. One engineer might argue with another engineer as to, you know, why you do things in a particular way. So that's just one of the things that I struggled with as I was moving through my career, that, oh man, this engineer says that I'm wrong by doing it this way, while another engineer will say, nah, you're fine. You're fine. Keep doing it the way that you're doing it. So I hope this is a bit of a encouragement to you. Okay, next, we're going to be getting into creating grading styles. We're still in grading -1, and then this exercise will continue from creating grading criteria. We'll create a new grading style, and we're going to be going into the tool space once again. Tool space once again. We'll go into the settings tab. We'll go into actually we'll minimize this. We'll expand the grading styles. We're going to create a brand new one by right-clicking on grading styles, then select new. We're going to type in ditch for the name, and you can put in a description if you want to. We're going to hold off on that. Click the display tab. And we're going to change the color of the daylight line. Where's the daylight line? Right here. We're going to change the color. We're going to change this to a red. Then click OK. Then we'll click OK. Actually, I missed something. Let's go back into ditch. Right click, select edit. Slope patterns, we need to change that. Slope patterns. Oops, not this one, this one. We're going to click this checkbox, and we're going to leave it on basic. There's different slope pattern styles that we've got going on here. Actually, we're going to copy the current selection. We'll go into this drop down, copy basic, then we're going to call this ditch slope. Then we'll go into the layout tab, and it really gets into some of the cool parts right here with the different components. You can see a little preview right here of what that's going to look like. In the component field, select component 2. This parameter table displays values for component 2. This is the second slope pattern component from the left side. In this case, it's a long line with a tapered, yeah, you can basically see the long line. We've got a tapered line over here. And the slope line section, we want to focus in on that. Symbol type. Symbol type, here it is. Tapered lines, we're going to select none. See what happened right there? Let's change this again. What was it on? Tapered lines? Let's switch that back to none. Okay. We'll click OK. Okay, so now, rather than the slope pattern being on basic now, it's got that modified slope pattern now that we just put in, which is going to be on ditch slope. And that's going to be associated with our grading style, for our ditch grading style. And click OK. Okay, in the tool space on the settings tab, the ditch grading style is added to the grading styles collection. The ditch slope pattern is added to the general multipurpose styles and slope pattern styles collection, which you can see right here. So we just went over grading criteria sets and grading styles. And this is going to be for a ditch, So this changes basically the technical information used in order to create the ditch for the criteria set. This grading style is going to be affecting essentially the look of the ditch. Okay, let's create gradings. Okay, before we get into that, I'm going to take a little break here. We're at about halftime. We're about 30 minutes in. I'm going to take just a short couple-minute break, and I will return very shortly. All right, we are back. That wasn't even a minute, was it? Was that like 30 seconds or so? Yeah, that wasn't long. I had to wet my whistle. Aquafina? Get a little bit of dry mouth as you're talking on this thing. Plus, I just had dinner tonight. Man, I had some fast food. Usually, I eat healthy throughout the week, and then the weekends I save for eating junk food, like fast food or whatever. Today I had Charlie's subs, Charlie's cheesesteaks or whatever. I had a nice buffalo chicken cheesesteak. It had all kinds of cheese. It had everything on it. And right now, it was so salty that right now I'm really, really thirsty right now. But I'm sure a lot of you care. Just thought I'd keep you updated on my dietary habits. So we will move on to the next grading. The next grading tutorial. Okay, where am I at here? Where am I? Okay, here we go. All right. We just went through setting up grading standards, reviewing grading settings, creating grading criteria, and creating grading styles. Now we're going to be getting into creating some gradings. And this will probably last, we'll go through, it looks like about 3 different exercises. Hopefully that'll get us to about an hour or so. Again, if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. I could be wrong with my answers, so feel free to investigate anything I say. I am not a politician, so feel free to look me up. Find out if I know what I'm talking about. So, okay. I'm going to go through a little read here before I get into the exercise of creating feature lines. Okay, here we go. This tutorial demonstrates how to create a feature line and how to grade from a feature line. You can create gradings from parcel lot lines. Remember, from parcels, from the last few live streams, we were dealing with parcel lot lines. Well, you can use parcel lot lines to grade from, or you can use feature lines. And we're going to be diving into feature lines here shortly. Feature line is a linear object that grading commands can recognize and use as a baseline. Grading commands can recognize and use as a baseline. When designing a grading, you must often adjust the elevations along the feature line. So within AutoCAD, you have something called like a 3D polyline, right? You have a 3D polyline. However, with you can only, I believe you can only specify, if you're going from one point to another on a 3D polyline, I'm not sure if you can insert points along the way. Well, maybe you can. Maybe you can insert vertexes. I don't know. There's probably somebody out there that knows a little bit about this stuff. But with feature lines, you can essentially grade at different points along just one stretch of feature line. Okay. Okay. In the next 2 exercises, we're going to be creating three feature lines. Assign elevation values along the feature lines using several methods. Create a set of gradings from one of the feature lines. All right, let's get started. Creating feature lines. Creating feature lines. What I'm going to do is we can continue with what we've been doing for grading 1, but I'm actually going to go into, I'm going to continue with what I've been doing in grading 1 with the modifications. I'm going to go to the Home tab and then to the Draw panel, which is right here. We're going to create a line. Click that drop down. we're going to create a line from the center of A to the center of B, and then to the center of C. Then press enter. Now, is this a special kind of line? Let's check it out. If we select it, no, it's just a regular line. Regular line here as well. Okay? No elevation has been assigned to it. You see we have 0 Z elevation on both ends of this line. Okay, then we're going to go into the Home tab once again, then over to the Create Design panel, then to the Feature Line drop-down. We're going to create feature lines from objects. Our command line is asking us to select lines, arcs, polylines, or 3D polylines to convert to a featured line, or you can use an XREF. That's nice. I don't really do that a whole heck of a lot, but sometimes it can be very, very helpful. Okay, we're going to select both of these lines and then enter in the selection. We get our Create Feature Lines dialog box. Now notice you can assign a name to feature lines, which is right here. You can do that right here if you so choose, as they're created. Naming significant feature lines can make it easier to assign targets when creating a corridor. So for example, sometimes when you're creating a corridor, you can have a long list of different feature lines. Well, if you name your feature lines, then you can kind of pinpoint what you're looking to connect to. Okay, that's where naming your feature lines can be very, very helpful, very important. For this exercise, you will assign names after the feature lines have been created, so we'll uncheck this box. We'll just leave it at its defaults. Following this workflow enables you to create many feature lines at the same time, but name only the most significant feature lines. Okay? In the Create Feature Lines dialog box, go ahead and click OK. Well, before we do that, let's review some things here. The lines are going to be converted to feature lines and added to Site 1. Remember sites within parcels like we went through before? We've got parcels. We can set it to none, but we're going to leave it on Site 1. We want it to be within Site 1. Okay. When we add this feature line, it's going to be put on this layer. You can change the layer right here if you see fit. I'm going to cancel out of this, cancel out of that. Or you can use the current layer. A lot of different options here. Or we can use the original entity layer for, a polyline or the line. But we are going to erase the existing entities. We'll leave that checked. We're not going to be assigning elevations right now or weeding points. Just select OK. And when we select this, we now have two feature lines, one here and one here. So we've got multiple feature lines. Okay, next, we'll select both of these feature lines, then right-click, and we'll apply feature line names. Okay. We're going to call these feature lines ABC. Then we have a next counter. We're going to click OK. Now if we, in the tool space, the prospector tab, go into sites, Site 1, If we look here, we've got a section on feature lines. There we go. We've got ABC1 and ABC2. If we want to, we can right-click on this, and it has its own, well, we can even select it. What if we're way, let me zoom out, we're way over here for whatever reason, okay? We're way over here, and we want to see the ABC2 feature line. Right-click, and hit select. Oh, there it is. I see it now. So that can be helpful when you have so many feature lines and you name them properly. That with a descriptive name, man, that could be really helpful. You know, because there are times where you could have like 3 different parking lots on this site, right? And you're using feature lines to generate your parking lot. Well, which feature line is for, which set of feature lines are within parking lot 1, right? You know, which feature lines are within parking lot 2, and so on and so forth. That's when applying a name to a descriptive name to multiple feature lines like we just did kind of goes into effect, because you're not having to search all over the site in order to find a particular feature line. You can just look within the name. You know, one set of feature lines could be the edge of pavement feature lines for parking lot number 1, or parking lot A, or parking lot or northwest parking lot. You know, that's where naming your feature lines, you know, applying it to multiple feature lines can be very, very helpful. Just a little helpful hint. Take it or leave it. Okay. We're going to draw another feature line. We're going to go into the Home tab. I'm going to deselect this. Home tab. Create design panel. Feature line drop down. Create feature line. We get our dialog box. For the name checkbox, we're going to type in CDEF. Now, this is essentially what I'm talking about as far as naming the feature lines in a bulk fashion. Like what if I created a bunch of feature lines for parking lot number 1. That's in the northwest corner of our property. I could name it parking lot 1, and then this next counter will name it feature line, you know, parking lot 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, you know, so on and so forth. You can change the next counter if you don't want it to be a number. You can highlight this, click this button, and for the name template, the property fields, you can change this to like a style name. You can do it that way, or you can type in, you know, parking lot. You know, there's a lot of different ways to go about it. Or the next counter, you have all of these different options. We'll leave it on 1, 2, 3, just for simplicity. We'll cancel out of this. For the style checkbox, we're going to leave it on selected. Let's check and see. Yeah, we got a lot of different styles here. A lot of different feature line styles. We even have a ditch style. Actually, we're going to change this to ditch. I was mistaken on that. We're going to be putting this on a particular layer. Then click OK. Okay, we'll go C, D, E, F. Hopefully you can see this within the stream, but we'll go to the center of C. Oops. It's asking us to specify an elevation. See that? It won't let me go forward. I tried to select the center of D, but instead it's asking me for an elevation or a surface. I'm going to type in 688 for D. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's going to be for C. 688 is for C. Now you have a known value for a starting elevation. In the following steps, you'll use the transition command to defer entering elevation values at intermediate points along the feature line. Okay? So we'll stretch the feature line to click inside of circle D. You see we have this little dash line that shows up. You can even see right here what the distance is from C to D. Is it 319.93? The grade right now is at 0. The slope is horizontal. And the elevation is at 688, which is what our C elevation was set to. So what do we have here? We're going to type in T for transition. Then we'll stretch to the center of E. Press enter now to accept transition once again. Then we'll move to the center of F. Now, after I click F, what elevation do you think that it's going to be set to? At the end of this transition, we're going to select surface. Then we're going to accept the elevation of 712 for F. Then we'll press enter one more time to exit out of the command. And you see how we have that ditch style that shows up. See this dashed green feature line style? That's the feature line style. If I go into the information and select, instead of ditch, go with crown, see how it changes the look? That's the feature line style. Where are we at? Ditch. There we go. Okay, now when we look within the Site 1, remember Site 1, then feature lines, we can look and see that we have a feature line. This is one continuous feature line that shows up C, D, E, F for the ditch. Let's check out the elevations. We can look at the quick elevation edit. That's what I usually use. You can use, there's like an inquiry command. For C, what elevation are we at? 688? Okay. We're transitioning at D. It's at this elevation. It's basically let's look at the slope. Yeah, here we go. Since we chose transition throughout this entire feature line, you'll see that each elevation is different. However, the slope is taking the slope from C all the way to the existing surface elevation that we specified of 712.06 for F. So that's how it's coming up with that. When I asked about what do you think the grade's going to be for F, well, you can specify that with a surface elevation, and Civil 3D will create a transition going from C with a consistent grade slope to F to the existing surface elevation. So that's what's going on right there. Okay, so now we have 3 feature lines. 1, 2, and 3. And that's essentially the end of this particular exercise. We can get into a few more maybe in a later stream, but you know something, to be honest with you, I've never really created 3D polylines like from scratch. I've always just converted them to 3D polylines. Let's try that. Polylines, where are polylines? 3D polylines. Can I type in 3D? 3D polyline? 3D poly. Let's try that. If I start from right here, I'm just looking to see how a 3D polyline is compared to a feature line. This is just for kicks, okay? The start point of the polyline is going to be here. I'm going to go from there to there to there to there and press enter. It's not really giving me too many options when it comes to geometry. I mean, I can specify a vertex elevation of, I don't know, 700. Is that for the entire thing? I can smooth it out. Fit smooth. What does that do? That smooths it out. Cubic. I mean, I know that architects, I think, tend to use a lot of 3D polylines, and that's one of the frustrations when we get, you know, drawings from architects sometimes, because they're using 3D polylines sometimes on certain things, and it's like, man, why did you do it that way? You made a mistake, right? But no, it's just a different way of doing things, you know. Like throughout a process, you know, you have a lot of different things that happen within a process, within a design process, and at every point, you know, one party can look at another party as saying, you made a mistake. You know, it could be, you know, but maybe within their process, no, it's not an issue. It's no problem. Only when it gets transitioned to, only when something gets transitioned to another phase within a project, then it's like, oh, wait a minute, no, that's wrong. That needs to be changed, you know. So I don't know. Designers kind of know my pain on this. What else? What happens if I go into if I select my surface, right click, oh, wait a minute, am I too low here? Object viewer. Let's select that. If I open this up, oops, I can rotate this. Uh-oh, where'd my stuff go? Got a 3D wireframe, conceptual. This is kind of nice, how it kind of renders everything out. Hidden, realistic. That's kind of cool. Does it show any of my feature lines anywhere? I don't think so. What if I rotate? Oops. No, I don't want to do that. Here's my, looks like that's my feature line. Right here. Oh, that's my 3D polyline. I've never looked at some of this stuff before, folks. I'm just shooting off the cuff right now. Here's our feature line. here and here. Here's ABC1, ABC2, and then here's the actual feature line that we created for C, D, E, and F. Yeah, just screwing around here at the end of this this live stream. We're roughly at about an hour right now. Yeah, just messing around. Now you can really see what's going on with our feature lines and with all this information. Anyways, we'll leave that as is. As we're winding down, folks, again, I want to thank you for catching me on this live stream on gratings. We're probably going to dive in. We might dive into gratings a little bit more in the next live stream, but we might be transitioning into, we'll stick with gratings. We'll move into editing gratings and building a complex building footprint. But as always, if you guys don't already know about this, free tutorials over at civil3d.tv. Over here you can get free sessions just like this live stream. You can get a whole course for free on this website. If you go into free sessions, then Civil 3D 2020 to 2022, this will take you into everything. It's about 10 hours worth of information free on this website, civil3d.tv. You select first one, navigating the interface. This will bring you into navigating the interface. It's got like a little read. This is basically the subtitles. But you come into here and then the thing, it's about a half hour long for this particular session. But the thing that you're going to be dealing with on these free sessions is ads. There's going to be ads like every 5 minutes or so. So if you're willing to deal with that, you can get all that stuff for free. Or you can become a member and get all of my course content right here by signing up for a free 3-day trial for Civil 3D Essentials. You go to watch.civil3d.tv. You can sign up for a free 3-day trial, and that goes into, we've got about 11 videos on profiles, designing simple profiles, creating and displaying surface profiles, and there's also the exercise files that you can download right here. Currently, I'm working on parcels. If you go into parcels, you'll see that there's only 3 videos in there for right now. I've got a parcels course for Civil 3D 2020 to 2022. I give that away for free. However, right now I'm just working my way through each category. And right now I'm on parcels. I'm going to be building this up to about 10 different videos. They're roughly at about anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes long. So it kind of breaks everything down within each category of Civil 3D. So if you have time, feel free to peruse that, or you can become a member on YouTube, and it's essentially the same thing as this. However, this gives you a 3-day trial to all my stuff, where YouTube doesn't allow you to do that. It doesn't give you the all access pass. You can see right here, interface 2020 to 2022, 8 videos, along with the exercise files. So just wanted to bring that to your attention. Until next time, folks, take care. Have a great weekend. I've enjoyed spending time with you guys on these hour-long live streams. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to drop a line in the comment. I'll do my best to answer it. Or hit me up next time in the chat, next time I go on a live stream. So Until next time, folks, take care, God bless, and peace. Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the live stream. Welcome back to the live stream to Civil3D.tv. We have been getting more and more involved into gratings. Into the gratings. Let me pull up my trusty notes. I've got my chat window open just in case anybody wants to chit-chat about Civil 3D, but we're going to be diving into gratings once again, folks. And this live stream is solely for me to get reacquainted with some of the different features of Civil 3D, because I don't know if you're like me, but I tend to forget a lot of things after a while. If I'm not using them regularly, I tend to forget things. Let me make sure that my sound is good. Just one moment. That's one thing I need to be very cognizant of. Here we go. Probably sounds a little bit better now. Be very, very clear with my communication. Make sure I'm loud enough. Okay, so I should be good there. Yeah, I'm just getting reacquainted with some of the features of Civil 3D. I hope people don't get too bent out of shape in that a lot of these tutorials, a lot of the live training tends to be rather basic stuff, you know. Yeah, a lot of basic exercises. So if you're a beginner, this stuff is perfect for you. This is just free training for you to be able to kind of learn a little bit more about the program. If you'd like to learn more about Civil 3D, I do have a website called Civil3D.tv, where all my live streams are going to be on this site, especially in the free sessions. As I go, I'm just putting all the free sessions within the 2023 to 2024. I'm just putting them all right there for you. If you want to visit, if you miss one, you can see within a blog post. I'll get past the ads. Yeah, I mean, here we go. Here's the last live feed. So if you're looking for some like a full course, I've got like 10 hours worth of free sessions here. This is my course from previous versions of Civil 3D. You know, navigating the interface. This is 2020 to 2022. I've got everything here. So it's 10 hours worth of content. So feel free to peruse that if need be. But Civil3D.tv, folks. If you want to sign up for updates, go ahead and sign up for that. But yeah, everything's right here. So let's go ahead and get started with kind of getting refreshed on the program. Okay, right now I'm in the grading-2 drawing file. All of these exercise files are actually within the help folder on your pre-existing condition. I don't want to say that. Your existing installation of Civil 3D has all of these exercise files, so you might have to do some searching around for it, but it should be within the help file folder. So just to help you out with that. Okay, let's get to it. Okay, in the last stream we got into feature lines, and this is just going to be a repeat of what I did with feature lines in the past stream. So I'm just getting into it once again. So creating feature lines. In this exercise you'll use two different methods to create feature lines. Feature lines can be drawn either with straight or curved line segments, or created from existing alignments or AutoCAD lines, arcs, polylines, and 3D polylines. Okay, let's go ahead and we'll run through this rather quickly because we've done it before in the previous stream. So create feature lines from AutoCAD objects. Home tab. Got our home tab right here. Within the draw panel, we're going to create a line. Create a line. We're going to go from here to here, and from here to here, and press enter. 2 different lines. Okay, these are just regular lines. Okay, now we're going to go to the Create Design panel. Then we're going to go to the Feature Line drop-down. I'm going to keep track of my time here. Okay. Create feature lines from objects. We're going to select these 2 lines. Click OK. Okay, we're going to stay in Site 1. And then we're going to name the feature lines. Okay, we are going to go ahead and click We're going to click OK. And we've got our feature line here and here. And we're going to put in a name. We're going to select both these feature lines, make sure that A, B, C are in view here. Right click, apply feature line names. And then right here, we're going to type in ABC. Then OK. So now we have ABC1, and then we have ABC2. Okay. Next, we can view this stuff within the sites collection. Site 1, feature lines, and it's all right in this section right here. Now you can create feature lines that are outside of a site, but whenever you have feature lines that are within a site, they can kind of be manipulated within a particular site. So when you have separate sites, then, you know, depending on which feature lines are within each site, they might not mess around with each other. So I'm sure I probably confused you right there, but I digress. We're pushing forward. Next, we're going to draw a feature line. Draw a feature line. Create feature line. We're going to put this in Site 1 as well. The name checkbox, we're going to click that on. And then we're going to type in, instead of feature, we're going to type in CDEF. We're going to leave the next counter right here. We went over some of this stuff in the previous stream. In the style checkbox that's selected, we're going to check ditch. And then we're going to click OK. Now our command line is asking us to specify a start point. We'll click C, the center of C. And then for that elevation, we're going to type in 688. Next, we're going to go to D, the center of D. And then we're going to put in a transition. Type in T for transition. Oops, did I type? Oh, that's R. T for transition. Then we're going to go to E, the center of E. Type in, we're going to press enter because it's currently on transition. Then we're going to go to F, the center of F. And then for this, we're going to choose a surface. We're going to choose the surface elevation. You can see that it's on surface EG, and the surface elevation is 712.066. We'll accept this. Then press enter one more time, and there you have it. We have our ditch. Okay, we can go into the elevation editor and we can kind of check this out if we wanted to. 688, that's good. 712.006, that's the existing elevation. So You can see just by the slope, it's a consistent transition to our existing grade surface. So that's how that works. We'll click out of that. Then we'll move on to assigning feature line elevations. Hey YouTube, index me. We're creating feature line, we're assigning feature line elevations. Okay? So now we're still in grading -2. And we are moving on. We're trucking. We're moving. We're moving. Okay. Assigning feature line elevations. In this exercise, you'll assign elevations to feature lines you created from AutoCAD lines in the previous exercise. We're going to be editing feature line elevations. We're going to be going to the Modify tab. Modify. Right up here. Then we have the Edit Elevations panel. And it stretches all the way out to about right here. We've got all kinds of different options here. We're going to select the elevation editor, like what we were in previously. And we're going to go to C, D, E, and F. We'll select this. We're going to kind of close this down a little bit just so we can see what we're doing here. Come on. There it is. There it is. Okay. So now, see how we have all these triangles that are showing up on our feature line? You can see all these are showing up right here. Okay. So at least you know where you're at. You know, if you zoom out, you can still see those triangles. See that? If you zoom in, they shrink. So that's kind of nice. Okay. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to zoom out, and while we're in this elevation editor, we're going to select a different feature line with this button. Select feature line, parcel line, or survey figure. Select this. Then we'll select the line between A and B. See that? Okay, we're going to double click the elevation at station 0, which is at A. And we're going to type in an elevation of 630. Press enter. And that's going to put this feature line a few feet below the existing grade surface. It's a few feet below the existing surface. We're going to change the endpoint, which is over here at B. We're going to change this to 690. Press enter. Fairly decent grade transition here. Let's see how this looks. Yeah, I can't really see the feature line here. Here, let me do something like that. Where's my feature line for A and B? There it is. See where it is roughly. If I select this, can I change some of this stuff? No, I don't want to do that. Okay, let's go back to the top. We're going to change this back to that. Something like that. See how I did that with the surface style? If you don't know this already, you can change the surface style up here within the properties under style. There's all these different styles that we've got going on here. All these different looks that you can change if you would like. I'm going to leave this on borders, contours 5 and 10. There we go. Okay, next. I'm going to click this checkbox. I'm back into my grading elevations editor. Now what we're going to do is we're going to insert an elevation point on a feature line. In the grading elevation editor, we're going to click this to insert an elevation point. Now you see how I have like a little green circle that shows up on the line in between A and B. It's a little tooltip that shows the station value and elevation of the point. Can you see that? Yeah, it shows the station elevation at that point, like roughly right about there. That nice little tooltip. We're going to move it to about the middle of the feature line, roughly about right here. And then we get the Insert PVI dialog box. We can move the elevation point to a specific station if need be. Like what if we wanted it at, I don't know, 250? And the elevation, what would the elevation be? I mean, we can assign an elevation if we wanted to, but that's what it is currently. Well, if I shift the station, then the elevation might change, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to click OK, whatever. Okay. Then when we click on feature line AB, you can see that that point shows up. And if we wanted to, we can zoom in roughly to that existing grade, 670 54.7. What is this? What is this at? Oh, it's a lot lower. What if we made this 674.57? Or 670.5. Okay. What about over here? Existing grade is at 670. 670.5. So, yep. The reason why, the thing of it is, this feature line doesn't affect the existing grade surface because it's not a break line. You need to add the feature line as a break line in order to, you know, make some changes to the existing grade surface. In fact, we can do that right now if we want. We can go into surfaces, existing grade. This might even be in the notes here. But if I wanted to, I can add a break line. Click OK. And you can see how the existing grade surface just changed just slightly. Okay? That's because it's a break line. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select this. I'm going to delete it. Don't want this no more. And then I'm going to right click, then rebuild. And it goes back to the way it was. So that's what you have to do with a feature line. If you want to add it to a surface, you need to add it as a break line. Okay. Next. The next few steps, you'll drape feature line BC across the existing ground surface. The command assigns an elevation to each vertex of the line. Okay. We're going to drape this feature line onto a surface. We'll go up to the Modify tab. Now let's kind of scroll over a little bit. Let's pan over to BC. go to the Modify tab, then over to the Edit Elevations panel once again. Elevations from surface. Right here. Elevations from surface. We're going to click this. We're going to use EG as our surface. We're going to leave everything at its defaults, then click OK. Then we're going to select that feature line. Okay, you can see a bunch of stuff happening here. I'm just going to press Enter to accept it. And then if we go to the elevation editor, you can see that we've got a lot of stuff going on here. A lot of stuff going on here. Each of these, if you want to call them PIs or whatever, PVIs, these are where the triangulation points or the triangulation lines are crossing the line. If I check this box and I go into existing grade surface properties, and I change the style to, was it triangles and points, click apply, then OK. See how you can see where all of the triangulation is crossing our feature line, and you can see that we have essentially a point where it's crossing. So that's how it's determining that. Okay. Next, I could probably just undo that style change. There we go. Okay. We're back to where we were. And that's essentially it. Let me see here. The elevation editor displays the data for each elevation point along the feature line BC. Let's bring that back up. Yeah. These are all the elevations along the feature line that are draped onto our existing grade surface. So that's what's going on there. Including its elevation, the distance, grade to the next point. A feature line on the surface like this can be a useful starting point for grading. You can use controls along the top of the grading elevation editor to add and delete elevation points and to adjust their elevations. You can select multiple points within the table for group operations, such as if you select this point, then hold down Shift, then select this, you can edit multiple points, essentially. You know, you can raise them up or down or whatever, or what have you. Or you can even flatten their elevations to the same value. So you have multiple points that are selected. You can select all of these and type in, I don't know, 600. And all of them will change. Okay? I'm going to undo that. There we go. So that's essentially it for assigning feature line elevations. That's pretty nifty, being able to drape a feature line over an existing grade surface, because, you know, if you're looking to design a ditch or something like that, you know, it can be helpful. There's more than one way to do everything, right? Especially in Civil 3D. Okay, we're roughly at about, I don't know, about 20, 25 minutes into the live stream. If you have any questions, feel free to put it within the chat. I'll do my best to answer them. But for right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab something to drink. So I'm just going to take a minute or two just for a break, and I will be right back, folks. All right, and we are back. That was a quick one, right? A real quick one. Aquafina. Okay, so next, what's next on the list here? Okay, we're going to be creating a grading. Creating a grading. In this exercise, you will create a set of gradings called a grading group that form a runoff on the side of an embankment. We're going to create a grading group and specify grading creation settings. And we're currently within grading-2 with the modifications we made from the previous exercise. And then we'll just go into the Home tab, the Create Design panel, go under Grading, then Grading Creation Tools. Hopefully I'm not going too fast for beginners. I know there's a lot of beginners that get into Civil 3D and they get kind of confused by gradings and things like that. But there are other more seasoned folks that are out there that are looking to find all the bells and whistles within grading. But these live streams, again, they're for beginners. Okay. All right. So we got our Create Design panel, Grading drop down, Grading Creation Tools. In the Grading Creation Tools toolbar, we're going to set the grading group. This is this button right here. Set the grading group. Okay, we get our Create Grading Group dialog box. We're going to name it Ditch Drainage. And we want to have automatic surface creation checked because this is going to create a separate surface. A separate surface for our grading group. And it's kind of nice having just something that's separate from maybe your proposed, I don't know, maybe you have like several ponds that you're dealing with. Maybe you have different ponds, maybe different pond designs. And it's kind of nice having the automatic surface creation to where you have like a separate surface that gets created that just doesn't get just put into maybe your proposed surface because maybe you want to make changes to your proposed surface. So that's what's kind of nice about this setting. But we're going to automatically create a surface, and we're going to create a volume-based surface because we want a volume. Okay. And this is essentially our comparison surface right here, e.g. Then we're going to click OK. We get our Create Surface dialog box, and it's already named, which is nice. We can assign it a style if we want to. Style list. Let's see if there's a ditch in here. No ditch? No ditch. Okay, we'll just leave it on standard. Click OK. Then OK. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to select a criteria set by clicking that button. And remember when we created the ditch criteria set in a previous stream. So we select that, then click OK. And you can see within this drop down we have all three of the grading criterias that we created for our ditch. And if you haven't seen the previous stream with this, I think I did it like last week. So we're going to ensure that, yeah, this is the one, distance at -6% is selected. Then we're going to select this drop down. We'll expand this just a little bit more. This is our criteria. In the style list, we're going to select ditch. There it is. Now it's time to create the gradings. And we do that by clicking this button here. Okay. Now our command line is asking us to select the feature line. We're going to select AB. And we're going to select above the feature line to select the grading side. So we're basically telling Civil 3D that we're going away, up and away from this feature line, and you'll see what I'm talking about in a second. Click over here, the entire length. Yes, we do want that. And now it's asking us to specify a distance. How far do we want to go with this grading? We're gonna keep the distance 10 feet. I believe that's even, yep, that's even assigned right here in our grading criteria. So it's already specified, but it is unlocked. So if you want to change it, you can go ahead and change it if need be. So the distance is 10. I'm going to accept that, and you can see what happens. We get this little graphic right here that shows us our grading. I'm going to press escape to exit out of the command. But whenever you have a grading, if you're new to Civil 3D, if you don't know what a grading is, if you see something kind of weird that has like a diamond shape in the middle of it, that's a grading. Plus you can also see by selecting this little symbol here, and you can see that it's a grading. If I zoom out, let's see what happens if I zoom out and do a regen. Yeah, it'll still show up. From way out here, if I do a regen all, you can still see that grading diamond. So that's kind of nice. If I do a regen all, once again, that diamond gets smaller. And here's this white line is our original feature line. Display order, send it back. Okay. Just so you know, I'm going to undo what I just did. If I'm trying to select my feature line, when I click on it, I'm getting the grading, but I don't want the grading. I want the feature line. If I right click and select, I'm going to send the grading to back. Okay. Now when I select that feature line, oops, it's not what I want. Now it's selecting the tin surface. I don't want that. Send it back. Now it's giving me the feature line. So I don't know if I just confused folks a little bit more, but it is what it is. It is what it is. A little water break here. Water. Okay, how far out am I on this grading? Do you remember what that number was? If I do I'm going to move this off to the side for a second. If I go to annotate, linear, and go from, I don't know, here, perpendicular to this line, well, it's about 10 feet. Distance from here, perpendicular, about 10 feet. Why is it not giving me that dimension? DA, L, line dimension from here to here. There we go. There we go. 10 feet. That's the distance that we went at negative 6%. Okay, next. In the next few steps, you'll create another grading from the target line of the first grading to the existing grade surface. Okay, so we're going to move our viewing window, I guess, to about right here. We'll bring this back. And we're going to create another grading, but we're going to change it to grade to the existing grade surface at a 4-on-1 slope. That's our criteria. We're grading to a surface. That's the target. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and click this to create a grading. And the feature line, we're not going to select the original feature line, because whenever you create a grading, it automatically, I don't know, however this line looks on your screen, but it's kind of like a pink, like a salmon colored line right here. This is actually a feature line. So a grading object will create feature lines for you. So we're going to select this, and we're going to apply to the entire length. Select yes. Now for the cut slope, it's going based upon our criteria that we specified here, 4-on-1. Okay, and that's what it's asking us right here. Cut slope, 4-on-1. I'll look at my notes here. We're going to press enter to accept that. Then for fill, it says 4-on-1. We'll accept this. And there we go. Press escape to get out of the command. And it's grading at a 4-on-1 slope to our existing grade surface. Okay, so the grading is created. This grading creates a 4-on-1 slope from the bottom of the ditch to the surface. Your results may differ from this elevation or this illustration, but yeah, that's essentially it, folks, for creating a grading. Creating a grading. Let's take a look at our object viewer. What does that look like? That's interesting, huh? That's the top. Oops. Where am I going here? Where am I going? This object viewer is nice, but to tell you the truth, sometimes it's kind of hard for me to navigate. It feels a lot different than navigating just in the regular, drawing window. But there's a way to look at this in 3D. Kind of like that. So you can see how things are changing around here. View. 2D wireframe. Can I change this to shades of gray? Can't really see it because I don't think it's been added to our surface. Wait a minute, let's check. Am I wrong? Was this added to my surface? I'm going to rebuild. Surface properties, definition. Yeah, I'm not seeing it here. Cancel out of that. Little grading group. Here's my ditch drainage surface. Wait a minute. No, that's not it. Yeah, here it is. Ditch drainage. That's the surface. That's the ditch drainage surface that we just created with our grading. And if we wanted to, we can go into edits, and we could paste the ditch drainage surface into our existing grade surface. And I can't really do that, not with existing. If we created a proposed surface, we could probably do that. Cannot paste grading surface to its target surface. Yeah, that's right. Can't do that. Okay. Next. Next thing that we're going to do. Oh, here we go. We have a message from Javier. Thanks for all your videos. Do you know how to create benches with variable grades along slopes and down drains? I've tried many times, but without good results. To tell you the truth, I'd probably need more information on that. So with some of this stuff, I probably need to take a look at what you're talking about here, because that does looks a little complex for me, to be honest with you, Javier. I don't want to waste your time. Create benches with variable grades along slopes and down drains. I tried many times, but variable grades. Yeah, I apologize. I wish I could help you with that. Do you know how to edit slopes, right? I'm assuming you know how to edit slopes on feature lines. Okay, you know how to do that. Okay. For those of you that don't, I know this is a existing grading, but existing. Wait a minute. You can go in here and edit your grade right here on the fly. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the live edition of Civil 3D TV. I am your instructor for tonight, your humble instructor for tonight. I am by no means an expert at Civil 3D, but I do this as a career. I am a designer full-time. So a lot of these streams are just my way of being able to kind of refresh myself in some of the aspects of Civil 3D that I don't use very often. Usually whenever you have a profession that uses Civil 3D, sometimes you don't get to use certain tools. Well, I like to kind of broaden my horizons a little bit as far as being able to learn different pieces of the program so that I can kind of stay sharp with the program. So we're going to be diving into editing gradings for beginners tonight, and I hope that my pace is slow enough for beginners, so much so that they're able to kind of take in what I'm showing during the live stream. But if you have any other questions, if you have any kind of, if you're interested in learning a little bit more about Civil 3D, maybe you're interested in learning something other than gradings, well, I would highly encourage you to go to civil3d.tv, this website right here, where I've got free sessions going on all the time, and you can also sign up for free tutorial updates. A lot of the updated software tutorials that I have, especially like right now for Civil 3D 2023 to 2024. Not a huge difference with the different versions, but the new stuff I'll kick out to you, you know, every single month. But after a while, those videos will become members only videos. So I would encourage you to take a look at those videos while you can. If you're looking to, you know, get some free training under your belt. But if you actually want some course related work, there is a membership option where you can start a free trial, or you can become a member through YouTube. So those are the options. But tonight we're doing a 1 hour live stream. I'm looking to meet a 1 hour live stream, looking to get to that point, and we're going to be diving into editing gradings. I know that with the last stream, towards the end, I was kind of like a little iffy with some of the notes I was looking over, just trying to remind myself, okay, how do I do this? How do I do that? Well, I was looking at it the other night, and hopefully this stream will help you a little bit more with editing gradings. So we'll get into editing gradings. Maybe we'll get into grading a complex building footprint. This is more of a building pad right here, this rectangular pad. So yeah, that's where we're at with it, and we will continue. Probably at about the halfway point, I'll take maybe a 5-minute break, and then I'll return, and then we'll keep on cruising. Okay, right now I'm gonna turn some of my browser stuff on real quick. All right, just so I can gain my bearings here. Editing gradings. In this exercise, you'll edit the elevation of a graded baseline, which is this white line right here, this white line. It's basically a feature line. The grading adjusts to reflect the grading change. So we'll go ahead and open up the grading-4 drawing, which is located in your tutorials folder that's already installed with your current installation of Civil 3D. So that's where you can find it. Should be like a help folder within your installation files. So this drawing contains a rectangular building pad, as I said before. And there's this surface, or excuse me, this grading, as you can see in the properties, is a grading that's on a 3-on-1 slope. This is built upon an existing grade surface up to a 3-on-1 slope. And you can see right here within the grading criteria. Okay. The red represents the cut, and the green represents the fill. And we'll get into balancing with volumes as well. We'll get into that dashboard. We've got these grading volume tools. I'll show you that a little bit later on tonight. But let me just do some housekeeping real quick. And so we have our building pad. What we're going to do first is we're going to go into, let me see, modify. We'll go into our elevation editor. Then our command line is asking us to select an object. Well, we're going to select that white feature line up at the top. And then we get our grading elevation editor. We have all of our elevations listed here. As I go through, I have the station 0, which is this triangle. Then I'll go through the next and the next. And you can see how it's going in kind of like a clockwise fashion. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to go to row 3, and we're going to shift click to row 4. Then we're going to change this elevation. You can see that we have two different elevations, 755 and 765. We're going to change this to 730. Make sure it's highlighted, 730. There we go. Boom. And you can see how that's reflected within our cut. And you can see that the grade ahead and grade back, these percentages, things shifted around, okay? Next thing, what we're going to do is we're going to flatten some areas. If we go around here and I take this quick elevation edit, I like to use this to kind of go around and check my grades. Right now I've got about a negative 4.5% or so. And as I come around, there's our 730. Come around here, we have a 0 elevation. And then as I come around on the other side, we've got negative 16%. Okay? There's a huge difference there. So if I want to make this just a consistent slope, I'll select that 4th row, shift click all the way to the beginning. I want to make all of this just a constant grade slope. So I'll use this button, flatten grade or elevations. And I can choose if I want it to be a constant elevation, or I can choose for it to be a constant grade. I'm going to choose for it to be a constant grade, and you'll see what ends up happening. I'll click OK, and you can see how things kind of shifted a little bit with our cut, but you can see how all of this stuff changed to be a consistent grade. What if I wanted to do that on the other side? What would happen if I did this? See how we have just some slight differences in our slope on the other side? What if I did this? What if I shift clicked all of this and I flatten this? Constant grade. What would this look like? Huh, okay. So it's roughly about the same all the way around. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and undo this. Undo. Okay. So now we're back. Now, if I want to show only the areas where there's grade changes, where there's a grade shift, what I can do is I can click this button, show grade breaks only. That's what I meant. You guys know what I meant. Show grade breaks only. And you can see how now we only have 4 corners here. So there's only 4 grade breaks within this feature line of this grading. For the first row, I'm going to change this. Right now it's at negative 2.69%. I'm going to change that to negative 3. And if I click this button again, you can see how that changed essentially all of this information. All of this stuff changed. So these are just the grade breaks. These are where the elevation is shifting, where the elevation is changing. Okay. So that's that. Let's move on to the next exercise. Okay, we need to bring up grading the grading 5 drawing, or we can use grading 4. We can do that. We're going to use the grading 4 drawing with the changes that we made. And next, I'm going to close this out. We're going to be balancing cut and fill volumes. Balancing cut and fill volumes within this particular exercise. In this exercise, you'll adjust the elevation of a building pad to balance the cut and fill volumes. And there's a kind of a cool little tool to be able to do that for those that don't know a whole lot about Civil 3D. A lot of the experienced people will know about this, but we'll go into the Analyze tab, Analyze. Then we have our volumes and materials panel. Then select grading volume tools. We get our grading volume tools toolbar, and you can see that our grading is selected for our pad, and currently we have this as a cut and this as a fill, and this is the net cut essentially. I'm going to expand this out just a little bit. Can I do that? No, it won't let me do that. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to raise our pad up by 1 foot. If we want to raise our pad up by 1 foot, we just got a design change from our client that they're telling us, okay, go ahead and add a foot to the elevation. I'm sure a lot of clients won't necessarily want to have more fill added to a building pad, but this is just hypothetical. Hypothetical, guys. Okay, we got a note that said that, okay, we want to go higher, 1 foot higher, so we've got 1 foot in this box. We're going to click and raise the grading group. And you can see how that changed our cut and our fill and our net cut value. Okay? What if we wanted to go, I don't know, 10 feet? Let's go crazy. We're going crazy, guys. Select this button again, and then you can see the cut and fill and the net on that one. But what's really cool about Civil 3D, this is the cool thing that beginners might not know about, is there's actually this button right here to automatically raise and lower to balance the volumes, because ultimately you're looking to save costs on cut and fill, right? So you need to balance these volumes. If you select this, the required volume, we want to keep that as close to 0 as possible. Okay? So it'll chunk it. Now we're done. Look how close it got. We've got our cut, our fill, and look at that net. It's about 8 cubic yards. 8 cubic yards of cut. So Civil 3D is able to do a lot of the cut and fill volume balancing for you. So if you don't know about this this tool, it's very, very handy. I think with residential, use that quite a bit. You use that a lot with really any kind of engineering or construction plans. But as a designer, you get that requested quite a bit, just so that you know, if you don't know that already. To do cut, we need you to do a cut and fill on this lot over here. We need you to do a cut and fill on this section of residential lots. So yep, we got that out of the way. That's balancing cut and fill volumes. Next, we're going to be getting into editing the grading criteria. We're just cruising through tonight. We might end early. All right. Let me see what we got going on here. We need to get into grading 3A. We need to get out of this drawing. Grading 3A. Got to pull that up. We'll go to grading 3A. I don't know if you guys caught that, but that was the path to my installation folder for Civil 3D. So that's the place where you can get your exercise files. I'm going to do a save as of this. I think this is already on my desktop, but okay. If you remember this, we're creating our gradings with this for our ditch. If you remember the ditch exercise. Okay, editing the grading criteria. In this exercise, you will edit a grading criteria and an associated grading adjust to reflect the criteria change. You'll edit grading criteria attributes values in two ways. Number one, in the elevation editor dialog box, which that's what we've been dealing with right here. I hate when it does this. I gotta send this to back. Try it again. No? It's a tin surface. Okay. Display order, send it back. There it is. Okay. Elevation editor. Now we got our feature line. I don't know if you saw that. That might be a little bit confusing to people. Let me go back. I'm going to undo this. Okay. We're in grading 3A. Okay? If I zoom in and I want to select the feature line that this grading object is building itself off of, okay? And this white line is that feature line. Well, is it? If I select it, what do I get? I get a grading. Don't want a grading. I want the feature line. I'll right click, display order, send it back, okay? Now let's select the white line again. No, I'm getting the tin surface on this one. Don't want that. Right click, go into display order, send it back once again. Now, will I get the feature line? Select the white line. Ah, we got our feature line. Yay! Woo! We did it. You see how that can be kind of confusing to folks? If you need to change the elevation of your feature line and you've got all of your gradings and all that stuff is, all that line work is essentially stacked on top of that feature line, then when you go to select it later on to try and edit that, then it becomes kind of like, oh crap, you know, like where's my feature line? Am I doing this right? You're doing it right. You just have to select all the junk on top of that feature line and just send all that stuff to back. So that's what I did right there. Okay, we went over the elevation editor. Grading criteria attribute values in two ways. We're going to be editing that in two ways with elevation editor. And secondly, directly in the grading criteria settings. Use this method to apply attribute changes to future grading created with criteria. If the attribute value is locked, attribute changes will also be applied to the grading what's currently. Attribute changes will also be applied to grading that currently uses the criteria. Makes sense, right? Doesn't that make a whole lot of sense? All right, we're gonna go through it. Okay, edit the grading criteria. We're in grading 3A. We'll go to the Modify tab. Modify, we're already there. Design panel, right here. Then grading. Select that. Then we can also choose our grading editor in this panel, as you can see here. We're going to click inside the objects for the grading that projects from feature line AB, which is essentially right here. See how it highlights? We're going to highlight this green area. Then we get our criteria. This is the grading editor panorama. we're going to change the distance value from 10 to 5. You see how that changed it? Changed the width right there. Now you'll make a similar change that will affect all the grading groups using the distance at -6% grading criteria. Okay. Okay, I'm going to click this checkbox. Click this once again. I'm going to regen all. Okay. If I go into in the tool space, in the settings tab, go into grading criteria sets, and go into ditch criteria set. And we'll select that distance at -6%. Edit. I see what we're doing here. What we just did with the original grading criteria set with this particular piece is we set that for that individual piece of ditch, not for the entire criteria set. So if we wanted to, we can come in here and in the grading criteria dialog box, click the criteria tab, which is what we're on, change the distance parameter to 20 feet. 20. And then we'll click this to lock it, which will apply it to all grading that currently uses the distance of at -6% grading criteria. Leave the value unlocked, applies the value only to the grading criteria in the future. Okay, so watch what happens when I click OK. Hopefully this is what's going to happen. Okay. See how that changed? But that's only when I went into the grading criteria sets within the settings tab within my tool space. Not when I went in there originally in the beginning and set it individually. And plus it's locked now. It's locked. So if I come in here, let me go into modify, grading editor, select this. See how now I can't edit this distance anymore? Used to be at 5 feet, but since it's locked, it's now at 20 feet. If I don't want that to happen anymore, I can right click, go into edit, distance, and we'll leave this unlocked, click OK. Grading criteria editor, select this area, and now we can edit that to whatever we want it to be. So that's that. Okay, we're roughly coming up at about the midway point of this live stream. We might end up, we might finish early tonight, but we're kind of cruising through a lot of these exercises, but hopefully they help you. Hopefully this is at a nice pace to where you're able to understand and retain the things that I'm showing you right now. So I'm going to take a quick 5 and I will return momentarily. All right, and we are back. Halftime is over. So we've edited our grading criteria. Next, we're going to move on to grading from a complex footprint. Let's dive into that. We need to open up the grading-6 drawing. Grading-6 drawing. See where that path is at? That's where the exercise files are at. I'm going to save this to my desktop. File, save as, desktop, grading 6. And you guys, excuse me, you guys probably can't see what's going on right here. I'm going to change the look of this. I think it should be in the view. The view. Hey, what's up there, Sammy? Sammy's on fire. Thumbs up and on fire. He's on fire. How you doing, Sam? Thanks for stopping in tonight. We got to change some view settings so people can actually see what's going on with this side. Is it display? Colors? Yeah, here we go. Pushing forward. Sam, you ought to make t-shirts, man. You have so many different sayings, dude. Make t-shirts. You know, make people wear your shirts. I'm going to switch this to black so people can see it. Apply, okay. All right. Sammy is king of the catchphrases. Full of catchphrases. Okay. All right, so this drawing, you'll use this in this tutorial. It displays the building pad in 2 vertically arranged viewports. In the right viewport, we have the top-down view. Okay, this is still a feature line. Sam says, yeah, maybe in the future. For sure. It's another revenue stream, man. Where am I at here? Grading 6. Okay. We've got 2 vertically arranged viewports. In the right viewport, the building pad is shown in plan view. You'll design the building pad in the right viewport. In the left viewport, which is kind of like this isometric view, it's displayed in model view. You'll use this viewport to see the status of the design as you work. So we'll create a stepped offset feature line in this portion. We're going to type in offset gap, gap type. We're going to type in 1 as the value. Now this has to, I believe this has to do with as you're offsetting feature lines. Like let's just say we have, you know, kind of like a square view of our, you know, we've got like a square feature line, square shape. When we offset it, it could create some gaps when we offset it. So I think that that's what that offset gaps type setting is all about. But we'll get into it a little bit more in the future. I'm just, again, I'm refreshing myself with a lot of these exercises myself so that I can be able to teach this stuff in the future. So these live streams, again, they're for the beginners, okay? The experienced folk out there, I know that they're screaming, they want more, but these tutorials, these exercises are just for beginners, okay? All right, so okay, the offset gap variable. Okay, yeah, it goes into the potential gaps. I'm going to click the Home tab, then over to the Create Design panel. I'm going to click the feature line drop down. Then I'm going to go to the stepped offset. We're going to do a stepped offset. Sam says, bro, you're highly intelligent with great range of knowledge. How did you first start with CAD? Through high school, man. Through high school. They gave me an opportunity, just started doing plot plans, learning CAD that way. I just learned the basics of CAD. I wasn't getting into the nitty-gritty with Civil 3D. In the command line, we're going to put in an offset distance of 1.5. Okay. Then we're going to select our feature line. Then we're going to click the outside. Then our command line says to specify an elevation difference, or it gives us a lot of other options here. We're going to type in G to specify a grade value, and we're going to type in -1 for the grade. There we go. And you see what's happening here with the offset gaps. It looks like it's kind of rounding it a little bit. And that's what that offset gap type is all about, I believe. Not 100% sure, 100% certain. Okay, so we'll press enter to end the command. You can see kind of like what's happening here in our isometric view. Okay. Okay. It says right here in my notes, the stepped offset feature line is displayed. Notice that the left viewport on the left side of the ramp, the curve on the stepped offset feature line is not well formed. See all this stuff? It's not very well formed because it's an independent feature line. You can use the feature line editing tools to refine the solution. Okay, we're going to be adding fillets to the feature line. We're going to go up to the Modify tab and Edit Geometry panel. Edit Geometry panel right here. We're going to go to Fillet right here, this button. Okay, we're going to click. Where are we going to click? Where are we going to click? I can remember doing this, just to let you guys know, I remember doing this years ago. I was going through these exercise files probably during 2020, during COVID. And I can remember certain things that got me stuck on different aspects of the program. And this was one of them. I believe if I select, when I move my cursor over the feature line, was it here? And then over here? No. What about here? There it is. That's what I wanted. So it filleted all that stuff. I'm going to do it again. Undo. Thank you very much, Sam, for the compliment, by the way. I appreciate that compliment. Sam is a very encouraging individual. He's got a whole channel to where he looks to inspire those that are just, if you feel stuck in life, Sam is one that'll get you, to get up and going. No, he's all about no naps. He's all about not just sleeping away all of your potential, but actually moving. His catchphrase is to move forward. He's got to put that on a shirt. Somebody buy a shirt from him. Okay. Let's fillet this again. We'll select this line right here. And then we'll fillet that way. Sam says, did you go to high school in Michigan or Florida? I went to high school in Michigan. It was a lot of projects I worked on were residential type projects, but we weren't dealing with Civil 3D. We were starting to deal with If a lot of you folks don't know about it, it's called Land Desktop. There was auto. I was using something called ServCAD, and that, which is by Carlson, I believe. And then we moved on to Land Desktop, which is an earlier version of Civil 3D, then to Civil 3D. And Civil 3D is just, it's one of those programs to where it's just like, it's so robust. There's so many different tools and things like that, things that you can manipulate, that you constantly have to kind of refresh yourself in a lot of the other areas, because you can kind of dig a little bit of a rut for yourself. When you're working a designer job, you start to begin to get into a rut to where you're using the same commands over and over again. If you're working on the same projects over and over again, then you start to forget certain aspects of the program, and then you start to look like a beginner all over again. So that's what these exercise files are for, like during these live streams. I mean, as you can tell, we're going slow with this stuff because, like you, just like a beginner, I'm refreshing myself with a lot of the stuff that you miss over time. So okay, so the fillet is applied to the feature line. Actually, we're going to do that on the other side too. I don't know if you hear the baby crying in the background. Fillet, do that again. Click this. There we go. We're making this a nice transition. We don't want like a huge hole in our grading right here with our transition right there. So we'll go ahead and press enter to accept that. And that's essentially it.